WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. A man is in jail tonight charged in the death of a woman whose body was found in OKTIBBEHA County this past weekend. The Sheriff's Department says evidence found at the scene led to this arrest, but investigators are keeping a lot of the details under wraps. Our Riley Livingston joins us live from Starkville with the latest. Riley.
Andrea, 24-year-old Joseph Gibson remains in jail here at the OKTIBBEHA County Sheriff's Department. Earlier today, I talked with Sheriff Gladney about the arrest, but questions about what led deputies to Gibson are not being released. Townsend Road is a dead-end and gravel road in a rural part of OKTIBBEHA County. So many people are wondering why Kimberly Belk might have been walking down that road early Sunday morning because she didn't live nearby.
We don't know, and we hadn't had anybody, tell us. So, like I said, this is only day 3, I guess. So, we're still receiving information and going through and gathering information.
Investigators spent hours collecting clues at the scene. However, what evidence deputies found is being kept quiet. Sheriff Steve Gladney says this protects the investigation.
Throughout the investigation and the evidence collected at the scene and information that we had received yesterday, we were able to arrest Joseph Donnell Gibson, 24 years of age, from Starkville, and charged with manslaughter and leaving the scene of an accident.
That manslaughter charge has a lot of people asking, why wasn't Gibson charged with murder? Basically, it comes down to what investigators believe they can prove in court. Gladney says it's possible the charges could be upgraded.
It could, again, depending on, the results of what we find out throughout the investigation and through the crime lab and that type of thing.
On Tuesday, WCBI talked with one of Belk's sisters. She believes there may have been a party that night on Townsend Road. Law enforcement want to confirm when and where it may have been.
We'd like to know.
Our sources say Belk may have been ran over and also dragged down the road. Gladney says a 2010 Kia Soul is involved in the case, but other pieces of evidence are still being processed.
We continue to work. Like I said, we have the crime scene unit here now processing the vehicle, and we still have a lot of things to do.
Gladney says Gibson should make his first court appearance tomorrow. If you have any information that could help investigators, please contact Golden Triangle Crime Stoppers. For now, reporting live in Starkville, Riley Livingston, WCBI News.
Curtis Flowers continues to be moved into new jail facilities. Flowers is now being held at the Winston Choctaw County Regional Correctional Facility. He was most recently being held in Grenada County. Attorneys for Flowers filed a motion to dismiss and requested bail. The Montgomery County Circuit Clerk's office says a ruling has not been made in those motions. Flowers is likely facing a 7th murder trial for the 1996 deaths of Bertha Tardy and 3 others at Tardy Furniture in Winona. Earlier this summer, the U.S. Supreme Court threw out Flowers' conviction and death sentence. The High Court found that District Attorney Doug Evans violated Flowers' constitutional rights by intentionally striking African-American jurors. Other trials have ended in mistrial or have also been overturned. Well, in today's world, the prices for most things are going up, and that includes housing inmates. Our Stephanie Poole finds out that the cost is taking its toll on some small-town budgets.
Some small-town law enforcement departments are starting to feel some pain in their pocketbooks. The price to house an inmate in county jails is going up. In Calhoun County, the rate has gone from $25 to $35 a day. VARDAMAN Police Chief Kenneth Scott says those expenses are stressing his already tight budget.
Small towns cannot afford it. A lot of the state has cut the money coming into the town. The police department ain't supposed to be a money-making operation, no way, but it should support itself. And the way the laws are now, it can't even support itself.
Not only are those departments responsible for paying the daily fee, they also have to foot the bill for health care.
We're responsible for their hospital bill, we're responsible for doctor visits. Up until this past few years, we kind of kept it even. But now, I mean, there's no way, to keep your equipment and stuff up, keep salaries paid, and it's just, they tie in our hands where we can't do our job.
Bruce Mayor Rudy Pope says those costs are putting a hardship on his town, too.
It comes out of the city, out of their budget, because they can't collect it, we can't collect it, we can't, you know, so each person that has a fine, you know, it's just a little bit more that's coming out of our money in the general fund, you know, so it affects us quite a bit.
While housing fees quickly add up, Scott and Pope are hoping legislation will bring that cost back down to $25.
There's no way you know what the crime rate's going to be and this, that, and other. We try to stay within our budget.
Reporting in Calhoun County, Stephanie Poole, WCBI News.
And both men are working to find room in their budgets to manage the change in fees. The man who died in a rollover wreck in OKTIBBEHA County, Porter Michael Hunt says 63-year-old Ray Charles Hubbard died at the scene of last night's crash on County Lake Road. The vehicle rolled over and Hubbard was ejected. OKTIBBEHA County deputies are investigating the accident. Time to turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson to get a first look at our forecast this evening. Hey, Keith.
Well, Andrea, we have more of the same here. A live view with our Alpha Insurance Camera Network shows some of those clouds dissipating. We've had some isolated showers and thunder showers around. A lot of that coming to an end. We just have one little straggler right over Smithville, but a bigger batch of rain out there towards Jonesboro, Arkansas. Some heavier storms. That's likely going to fizzle before it gets here. We've got upper 80s in most spots. Even a few low 90s too. We'll be cooling into the lower 80s here at 7 o'clock. Mid 70s by 11. Lows tonight will be down to around 70 here. And we're going to do this all again tomorrow and really for a while here. More sun, more heat. Full forecast in just a few minutes.
People impacted by flooding in February can talk face-to-face with MEMA representatives about possible assistance beginning this Friday. For one Monroe County couple, the past 7 months have been a huge and costly challenge. Our Allie Martin has their story.
For 7 months now, Tony and Renee Tate have navigated the cramped quarters in this camper, which sits just a few feet from their home on Wax Bottom Road near Amory.
What do you want for supper tonight?
Whatever's in the fridge. The Tates were home when the floodwaters rose in February. They were able to gather a few belongings and leave. When they returned the next day, the only way to access their house was by boat. Floodwaters came in the home, damaging walls, sheetrock, and flooring. They bought the camper hoping it would be short-term shelter until state and federal assistance was available. Making matters worse, Tony is disabled from a work-related injury several years ago.
The bathroom is not handicap accessible like we talked about earlier, so he's still having to go into the house and use what we can use, what we left. It's very cramped.
As they waited for word on any possible assistance, the Tates got to work, hiring a contractor to fix the damaged home.
Just slowly been tearing out floors and walls and trying to get the insulation and all out of it, trying to get it all replaced where we can get out of this camper.
Tony and Renee are glad MEMA will open its disaster relief center this Friday. They are hopeful there can be some reimbursement for the thousands of dollars spent on repairs. And when they get back in their house, the Tates have definite plans for the camper.
We'll get rid of it, that's for sure. I don't want to use it no more.
The Tates hope to be back in their house in time for Thanksgiving. In Monroe County, Allie Martin, WCBI News.
And Tony Tate says he can't remember flooding in that part of Monroe County being as bad as it was in February. Coming up, some area students get a little extra guidance to start their school day. We check in with them when we come back. Students across Northeast Mississippi gathered before school to pray for their classmates, government leaders, and other issues. Tupelo High School students met at the football field for the annual See You at the Pole observance. They joined students nationwide for this annual event.
We've got issues facing us as students, our nation, our school. Everybody has those, and we just want to show that we know that there's one person that we can look to solve those issues, to be with us and help us through every situation that we face in life.
Coming to all these See You at the Pole events and seeing students get up early in the morning is very encouraging to all of our hearts. I believe it's them sacrificing time of sleep, because we know everybody loves sleep these days, and them to sacrifice time of sleep to get up and just to spend time with the Lord just shows where their heart's at.
See You at the Pole began in the early 1990s in Texas. It's now observed across the world. A lesson on pronouns quickly turns into a surprise for an unsuspecting teacher at Aberdeen Elementary. First grade teacher LETHA Jones was caught off guard when we popped in to tell her that she is our Educator of the Week. Joan makes learning parts of speech fun by letting her students use hand gestures to act out sentences. Her class is unique because she gives her kids book smarts and social skills.
Excel at the end of the school year and be the best person that they can be. We also work on character in the classroom. We work on skills. So I work on the whole child, not just part of it. They just touch my heart, and I feel like they are my children as well. When I come to school, I come because I love making a difference in their lives.
And you can nominate your favorite teacher on our website, wcbi.com.
Another quiet night tonight, upper 60s to low 70s, well above average for tonight and really for the next week. The full forecast is next.
WCBI's Educator of the Week is brought to you by Food Giant, where your neighbors are the owners. Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
So nice to see you here on this Wednesday afternoon. Another warm one today, and we will stay warm and basically dry for the next week ahead. This is your Alpha Insurance camera time lapse from Columbus, Tupelo, Vernon, and Louisville. You can see some of those showers around just in the north of Columbus earlier today, and we had a few up there across northeastern Mississippi as well, in and around the Tupelo area and points north and east. One little lone shower right over the areas east of Smithville. That's really about it in our current area. We do have a little bit of rain to talk about for earlier today. The 12-hour rainfall estimate anywhere from 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch in some lucky spots. Most spots not seeing it. There's a bigger batch of rain and storms out here across northeastern Arkansas near Jonesboro. Some of those have been severe thunderstorm warnings. Have seen severe thunderstorm warnings with some damaging wind gusts, but those will not make it here most likely. And there's actually a cold front back to the northwest of that. Behind that front, it actually does feel more like fall around here, 80s and 90s, but north of that frontal boundary, look at that beautiful air in the 60s and 70s and 50s across the northern tier of the United States. It's not coming our way, folks. I know you're dreaming of fall-like temperatures, but we will have even hotter air come back in here before it cools down. Sadly, we're actually looking at temperatures ticking up, and some of these numbers may be a bit conservative in some spots here. The air is getting very hot, the ground's very dry, and with that dry ground it could actually heat up even more, the air that is. So a hot and dry weather pattern, more record highs are likely, limited opportunities for rain. Tomorrow on your Thursday, we're looking at highs back up into the lower 90s, maybe mid-90s in some spots after a start at near 70 degrees at 7 o'clock. So at this point, low 90s, partly cloudy skies. There is a 20% chance of rain, especially across the northern tier, a little bit lower across the southern and eastern areas. So if you get rain, consider it a minor miracle at this point. So widespread heat. There will be a better chance for some showers and thunder showers across the northern tier of the region as we get into our Thursday. You can see that frontal boundary may be kicking up a little bit of extra action just to our north, but in general, not a lot of activity around here as we go throughout the next 7 days. And there's your AccuWeather 7-day forecast. A limited chance of rain Thursday, and then basically dry and hot through the weekend into maybe most of next week.
With Tommy Stevens on the mend, the Bulldogs' options at quarterback are open. More on the Bulldogs' preparations for Saturday next in sports.
WCBI Sports with Tom Ebel is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
Tommy Stevens' status remains unclear for the Bulldogs' matchup with Auburn, but freshman Garrett SHRADER stepped up in a big way in his absence. Head coach Joe Moorhead has said when Tommy Stevens is healthy, he will start. But SHRADER's performance in his past 2 outings has earned the trust of the team and coaching staff. SHRADER says his confidence continues to grow week to week.
I mean, the biggest thing is just have confidence in yourself, and I mean, everybody else will buy into you if you just make plays versus not. If you know what you're doing, then it's easier from there.
The stage is never too big for Garrett. And I think that's a very good tool for him to have, especially playing quarterback. I mean, it's kind of just an unfazed attitude, I guess you can say. Nothing's really gonna rattle him, I guess. As long as I've known Garrett, I've never really seen him rattled. So it's a great tool for him to have, and he's only going to continue to grow.
Our game of the week for week 6 is for winners only. Both teams featured this week are two of the only remaining undefeated teams in the WCBI viewing area. A 3A versus 4A powerhouse matchup will be live from Fulton for our game of the week on Friday. The undefeated Houston Hilltoppers taking on the undefeated Itawamba AHS Indians. The two teams have played each other in back-to-back seasons, Houston winning both of those matchups. This will be the first time the two teams will meet as undefeateds, and only one will remain that way through Friday night. We'll kick off week 6 of the high school football season and WCBI End Zone from Indian Stadium at 5 and 6 Friday. We'll see you there. Big-time players step up to the occasion and exceed expectations. For this week's Athlete of the Week, One East Webster Wolverine put the team on his back in a big win. As part of our Game of the Week trio last week, junior quarterback Stephen Betts put on a show at East Union. He had 273 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns to go along with another 2 passing touchdowns in the Wolverines' 62-38 win over the Urchins. Betts knew entering the matchup that he needed to be at his best to help secure a victory.
I knew it was going to be a big game, considering that it was the game of the week. We just prepared all week for it, and then we just came out, we executed early, and we finished off with a big W. It just kind of worked out like that. Every time the coach called me, I made big plays out of it. Everybody just was looking on me, and then I just made everybody happy.
Will look to stay undefeated as they host Union Friday night. A pair of ICC Indians bringing in national awards. Calhoun City native and ICC linebacker Keyshawn Parker named NJCAA Defensive Player of the Week. Parker racked up 14 tackles in the Indians' win over Coahoma, 4 of those for a loss, along with 3 sacks. Parker and ICC will look to get a win streak going, playing at rival Northeast this Thursday. The national honors again, I mentioned, piling up for the Indians. Tupelo native Anna Wesley Driscoll named the NJCAA Keeper of the Week. It's the freshman's second time earning JUCO's top keeper this season after picking up 2 shutout wins this past week. Driscoll and the Lady Indians will take its 7-game win streak to Motlow State this upcoming Saturday. That's it for sports. We'll ask your forecast coming up next.
Well, I wish I had better news here. We are getting increasingly dry. Things are really starting to burn out, especially after 4 weeks without any significant moisture in many spots here. Still a chance for a shower storm on Thursday. After that, basically 0 through the weekend into next week. That bodes well for high school football this evening, or Friday evening, and also some of those college games this weekend. But it will be hot, maybe more record highs, Andrea. Now, what we want to see going into October.
Keep the sprinklers going, folks. All right, that's the news at 6. Enjoy the rest of your evening.